Knowing your fashion vocabulary for describing a type of garment, its components, or details and features will make you appear most knowledgeable about the product. Consider, how do you describe something you just bought at the store to a friend on the telephone? Think back to those days before Instagram and Facebook. As a potential designer, a future pattern maker, or even possibly a buyer, you must have an in-depth vocabulary of terms to identify and describe any garment. This show covers a variety of garments for the upper half of the body or for full coverage of the body. Blouses and shirts. Blouses is the term for a shirt for a female. This is a peasant blouse. It's a very full, loose-fitting blouse, usually a drawstring around the neck that will adjust to fit tightly or loosely. This happens to be a fitted shirt. There are princess seams that go from the shoulder to the hem that fit the body. This style is a tunic shirt. It's a pullover shirt with a little slit at the neck opening. It's very loose fitting and can be unisex. This style shirt is a western shirt. It's a button-down shirt, but the uniqueness of the points on the yoke, that's the pattern at the shoulders, and the points on the pockets indicate that it's a western shirt. Same with the pearl snaps, and in this case the embroidered emblem on the shoulders as well. And this lady has a wrap shirt on, or blouse. These are components of a blouse or a shirt. Shown here is a men's button-down shirt. It shows the center front buttons, either a plain front. If there is actually a stitched edge there, that's called a placket. And then you can have a fly front, and that's where the placket is actually a fold over and hides the buttons. The collar has a stand underneath that. At the shoulders, there's a yoke piece. It slightly fits towards the front of the bodice, over the shoulder, and onto the back. The center back of the shirt may have pleats or set further out towards the shoulders. Sometimes a little hanging loop might be inserted in the seam between the yoke and the back bodice. Sometimes shirts can have darts in them to help fit them through the mid-body. And the hem of a shirt may have a tail, or it can be hemmed straight across. Necklines. The necklines frame the neck area, but do not have a collar or the attached pattern piece sewn to the neck opening. This is a U neckline. There is a halter neck, a keyhole, a square neck, a sweetheart, a funnel, a crisscross halter neck, a gathered crew neck. A crew neck is a high neckline that fits at the base of the neck, sometimes referred to as a jewel neckline. And this is a draped neck. Collars. A collar is a design feature and usually a separate pattern piece that is sewn to the neck hole opening. This is a notched collar. You can see an inserted V shape at the edge of the collar and the lapel. This is a shirt with a collar and a collar stand. A collar stand allows the inside or underside of the collar to stand up around the wearer's neck, and a tie can be worn underneath the collar. This is a mandarin collar, also sometimes referred to as a Nehru collar. This is a shawl collar, where the edges actually fold back. This is a pilgrim collar. Here is a rugby style collar. It's very similar to a polo collar. The rugby style will have a 3-button placket and then a collar stand with the collar, where the traditional polo style also has the button placket, but only a collar, no stand. This is a cowl. Here is a mock turtleneck collar. Here is a bow or a tie collar. This is a sailor collar. The portrait collar fits open and wide across the shoulders. And a Peter Pan collar. It usually has a curved edge to the points in the front. Sleeve types. We classify sleeves in 3 basic types. A set-in sleeve will always have a seam around the armhole at the shoulder. Thus, the sleeve is set into the circle opening for the arm into the bodice. The raglan style has a seam line that goes from under the arm up to the neck hole. And the all-in-one style is the sleeve and the bodice are one piece. The only seam line is actually from the shoulder to the wrist over the top of the arm, connecting the front to the back. The top one in this slide is called a bat wing or a dolman. You can see it fits tightly at the arm, whereas the one on the bottom right is called a kimono. It's very loose fitting around the arm. This is a bishop sleeve. It has fullness at the wrist. Here is a cap sleeve. It's a very short sleeve. It only covers the high cap of the sleeve. This one is a drop shoulder. The seam line looks like it's sliding off her shoulders. This sleeve is called a leg of mutton. The fullness is at the top of the sleeve, opposite of what the bishop sleeve is. This is called a butterfly sleeve. These are cutout sleeves. A Juliet sleeve is similar to the leg of mutton. Fullness is at the top shoulder, but then it nips in and fits tightly down the arm, whereas the leg of mutton slowly tapers to the wrist. And this is a short sleeve, but also called a tulip sleeve, where the 2 layers overlap each other, much like the petals of a tulip. Dresses. This one is a caftan dress. It's a short one, and she's belted it. This is a sweater dress. This is a shift dress. It fits loosely through the midsection of the body, where a sheath dress will actually be more fitted with either a seam line or darts. This is a shirt dress. Looks much like a shirt, just in a longer version. This we call a maxi dress, also known as a long dress. In this one, her waistline actually is right under the bust line. That's referred to as an empire waist. This dress has a couple different names. You can call it a flare, a tent, or a trapeze. It fits narrow around the bust area and then expands from there for fullness at the hem. This is a wrap dress. It wraps around and ties at the waist. This dress has layers or tiers. This little one is a pinafore, similar to the overall dress, but the overalls have a bib in the front where the pinafore does not. Coats. This is a classic straight coat. Here's a classic trench coat. Here's a wrap coat with a shawl collar. This is a balmacan. It's hard to see in this picture, but a design feature of the balmacan coat is a raglan sleeve. This is a Chesterfield. The Chesterfield is unique with the collar usually made of velvet or a contrasting fabric to the rest of the coat. All of these could also be male or female coats. And this sometimes is referred to as a swagger or a swing coat or a trapeze. Jackets. Jackets are like a coat, but they're for milder weather, or they're cut shorter than coats. This is a classic Chanel style jacket, very boxy but feminine. The bolero jacket is cut short at the waist, higher than the natural waistline. Here's a safari jacket. It looks very similar to a shirt, but it has extra cargo pockets on it. Here's a bomber jacket and a blazer. Sweaters. This is called a Fair Isle crew neck vests with pullover sweater. Fair Isle is a term that refers to the decorative style of knit around the neck. Here's a twin set where the little camisole or undershell matches the cardigan sweater over the top. Here's a cardigan in a V-neck. Here's a dolman sleeve fashion sweater. This is a ribbed turtleneck. And you see those slight vertical lines? That's called ribbing. And here is a raglan sleeved, keyhole opening neck, turtleneck fashion sweater. Can you see how we use all of our terms for this? And vests. This is a fur vest. Here's a ski vest. Here's a cardigan style, again in a V-neck. Here's a pullover V-neck. This one is called a waterfall, when you have the folding cascades down the front. And here's a classic fitted men's style